Lutens and Letty fiends, whichever reason you're here for, be welcome. In the mood of a very snowy day in the tail end of winter over here, I wanted to tell you about some of my very favorite things, just favorite things in general that I encountered this winter and that kind of helped me move through and overcome those winter blues. I was born and grew up in Rio de Janeiro my whole life, and in Rio, we are very much at the tropics, so we don't really have seasons. We basically have very hot and okay hot. It's summer year round. The coldest we get to is like 18 degrees on a winter early morning, and we get up to like 50 degrees in the summer, so it's very, very warm. Never experienced winter truly living somewhere or ever experienced the passage of the seasons before I moved to Germany. I've been here for like 2 years now. I've experienced the changing of the seasons quite a bit. Spring in Germany is truly marvelous because you actually get winter, and it's that contrasting part that makes it so wonderful. You actually see flowers grow in the streets, and there's like pollen in the air, and suddenly everyone's so much nicer. But I've also always loved winter in concept and in reality. I loved traveling here during winter. It was so special to me. I like the cold, I like the coziness of it, but I also like the stark tragic beauty of the end of things. Winter is the country of opposites, which isn't really anything new to be said, since obviously I would say winter and summer are considered these stark contrasting seasons, while spring and autumn are the more transitional liminal ones. But there's something about winter that it's to me, it's both the land of savagery and meekness. And during spring and autumn, you can be temperate and you can be harmonic. But in winter, there's something in you that awakens and feels drawn to both the wildness that we hide in ourselves, but also the immense softness. We feel so vulnerable, and feeling vulnerable, we can feel angry and detached. But simultaneously, that vulnerability reveals our ache for safety and comfort, and I think that's so lovely and tragic because I think most people really struggle with balancing those two instincts, and I think that's where a lot of just straight up human tragedy lies. So I think yeah, winter just makes me very contemplative, melancholy, but also very thankful to get to experience the human condition like this. And also, I'm just a very ritualistic person, and I love getting to experience the passage of the seasons and have that connection between my body and the world, and the reminder that time is passing. I think it's so romantic to be oh, this happened in the spring of 2023, because I couldn't say that in Brazil, because when the fuck is spring? No one knows. That doesn't awaken any memorial connection to anyone. Memorial? Mnemonic, sorry. But obviously, on a practical levels, winter can just be very difficult. It's just cold and it's dark, and it takes a lot more effort to leave the house. That is intense for someone who lived in summer her whole life. So I do think I am especially attached to the little beauties of life in winter. While it's always with a yearning and a necessity that I reach out for beauty, in winter the necessity is much more pronounced. Speaking of pleasure, I'm gonna get my lavender tea. Basically, this video, I'm gonna ramble a bit about things that I liked this winter. And that's it. That's all. The things I want to talk about are movies, is cinema, because I think somehow cinema is the thing that I most do seasonally. I think I have quite a bit of a different relationship to films that I do to literature. My relationship to literature is the relationship I have with my sister. Very old, very stable. We love each other endlessly. But also because it's so old, it has its own twists and turns and quirks that you have to be aware of. And simultaneously, it's a relationship where I feel very comfortable being open and raw, and even bellic. I feel very comfortable being mean about books and criticizing them, seeing them in a very critical way, the same way that I would be with my sister. Very comfortable to present my issues. Meanwhile, with cinema, it's more of a relationship I have with a newer friend. I love her very much and I take much comfort in her presence. But I wouldn't feel as comfortable calling her out on something because I don't feel like I know her well enough for that. But obviously, I do watch movies also with a critical eye and with the intention of seriously, like the word I want isn't relating. I always think of the German version of this word because I think it's so much better, auseinandersetzen. Of course, I also sit with movies in a more serious and contemplative manner, but usually they're just my cozy, like safe spaces because it's so easy to watch a movie and just like put it on in the background and have it construct an atmosphere for you. While a book, you do have to be a more active participant. I think that's why I'm so big on like saving movies for specific times because they're just so atmospheric. Obviously, books also are, and I also do that with books. But I feel like I almost have more control over the atmosphere of books than I do of movies. The main movie that I save for winter is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the first Narnia movie. Such a classic. I'm sure many people relate to this, but I literally like I have to wait for first snow to watch that movie. I cannot watch it if no snowflakes have appeared in the area. And like the later ones also hit so hard for me when I was little. Like I related so much to Lucy, I think in some ways. Overall, I'm just a big fan of fantasy in winter. I'm a big fan of fantasy all the time, obviously, but I think it's that presence of magic and also the usually more decadent, like the bigger like artistic aesthetic flair. There are also just the straight up classics like Anastasia, the princess movie that I always want to say is a Disney princess movie, but it's not Disney. You know, anything to do with Russia, honestly, is a winter vibe. And a Karenina, also a very different vibe from Anastasia, but also a winter movie to me. Nightmare Before Christmas, the greatest to ever do it. But I also love some gothic romance for winter time. I think it's something a lot of people connect with autumn because autumn is just the time of all things gothic and creepy. But as I said, winter has this thing about like contrast and the like push and pull relationship of tenderness and savagery and like hunger and softness, beauty and horror, a match made in heaven. So Phantom of the Opera and Crimson Peak are two movies that I love watching in winter. Both also just have really lovely like wintry snowy scenes. Going over to books before I extend myself too much because I do want to talk about quite a bit of stuff in this video. I also just love fantasy for winter. When I make the video for summer or like spring or whatever, I'm gonna be like, also I love fantasy for spring and I love fantasy for summer and I love fantasy for autumn. But I promise there's something kind of special about, I don't know, the heaviness, the density. I think winter is the time, and autumn as well to be honest, is the time for historical and fantasy romance. Contemporary romance, for example, is something to me that has to be read in summer. There's a book by Emily Henry that I've been meaning to read. Funny story. I don't even think it's summery at all. I'm pretty sure it's set in one of those snowy USA states. It might even be set during winter, but I just can't make myself read it because I'm like, that's a beach read. It's just like this sparsity and sort of casual vibes of a contemporary romance. They don't fit with the tragedy and romance of winter at all. Like they're too nonchalant. You can't be nonchalant in winter. We're all chalant because we're cold and we're hungry and we're sick and we need someone to tend our wounds. Another good winter movie, Phantom Thread. I love a good fantasy romance in winter. The big one for me was Winter Rose this winter, my favorite book from 2024. It just has everything I needed. Very heavy, beautiful prose. Just like you can't put any of that sparse, modernistic shit in front of me. For example, Sally Rooney came out with her book Intermezzo. If I'm not completely wrong in my timeline, it was in winter. I want to read it, but I just haven't gotten there yet because her prose is just not something I connect with winter at all. Sally Rooney to me feels like sparkling water. And I need to read sparkling water when it's hot. It's funny because it's not at all that her work is light necessarily. Like I wouldn't classify Sally Rooney as a beach read, But there's something about it that is like fresh and searing. Summer can have also like a stark energy, but in relation to honesty, I think summer is a really lovely time to read sort of like weird contemporary literary fiction. And this literally is weird. I'm thinking about other things, but because I do think summer is like a time for revelation, while winter is a time for obfuscation, and that sort of work that engages often very honestly and like rawly. I don't know if that's a word. With the human nature and with the strangeness and oddities of human relationships and dynamics, but also often does that in a very, again, like nonchalant, straightforward way. I don't want straightforward in winter. A book that keeps coming to mind for me about something I'd like to read in winter is Half a Soul and The Thousand Stitches by Olivia Atwater. I don't think either of them are set in winter, but it's about the vibe, and they are both historical and fantasy romance. They're kind of like Jane Austen meets fairies, and I just love that. And they're light for sure. They're very much something you can read without a worry in the world. Um, but they do have that like just a romantic nature. I'm not someone who likes thrillers, but if I were, I'm sure I would most like to read them in autumn winter time. They're kind of the like cold season speech read, I feel. And I think like the one thriller that I like is Donna Tartt's The Secret History. A lot of people run from the word thriller in relation to that book. Very much a crime suspense, and I actually much prefer to read it in winter than autumn. A lot of people do like associate that book with autumn time because of its academic setting, and that's just the season everyone associates with academic settings because that's when you start school. And then my top one book for winter is probably Angela Carter's The Bloody Chamber. It is a book that I think I would rather read in the in-between stage between autumn and winter. And a few short stories in there that I would especially like to reread in winter. Particularly the two short stories that are related to werewolves. There's something about werewolves that's so wintry to me, and I just want to say no one gets werewolves like I do. Everyone does them in such a corny way. I feel like people don't see the same potential in werewolves as they do in vampires. But that's just because they literally don't get it. Like werewolves are such an amazing vehicle to discuss so many things, especially relating to womanhood. I think that's someone Angela Carter does very, very well in The Bloody Chamber. Another thing I've been trying this winter, now it's not like actually things, it's just like an activity or something that I'm trying to like imbue in my mentality. I'm trying to take it slow. I'm someone who simultaneously like is a huge procrastinator and kind of time blind and like late to stuff all the time. But I'm also someone who really rushes through life at many points. I think in the most like mundane things. Like I'm such a fast walker for no reason at all. I'll say to myself I'm gonna take a nice chill stroll today. And then it's not chill. I walk so fast. Winter is the worst time to be a fast walker. Because in summer if you walk really fast and you get sweaty, okay, like you might even get sweatier because it's warm. But you're wearing not a lot of fabric, I assume. So, and if you are, it's usually like flowing fabrics, which also breathe better. So your skin just dries down and it's fine. But in winter, you're wearing so many layers of like thick fabric, and you walk and sweat, and that sweat just gets stuck in that fabric. And it's gross. It smells gross. I hate it. I get really easily overwhelmed by things, so I try to rush through them. It's just not a good habit. I have been trying to give myself more time to get ready because I always procrastinate until the last minute. In that vein, I wanted to shout out Beautiful Earth Boutique for sending me some jewelry. I'm wearing a really gorgeous earring. They did send these to me, and I'm actually really excited about them because I'm super annoying with jewelry. I love jewelry, but I have pretty sensitive skin and I get rashes usually if I'm not wearing something that's gold or silver. What a bougie problem to have. But I don't have money to buy gold jewelry to go around just spending money on gold. Also, as I said, I'm someone who rushes through life a lot, so I prefer having jewelry that I can just keep on all the time. Most affordable jewelry can't really like reach those standards. Beautiful Earth Boutique's jewelry has been keeping me company for a week now, and I shower with it, I go to bed with it. Jade earrings I do take off just because they're too big, but the ring, the bracelet I've been wearing, all of those have been with me as I do sports, shower, wash my hair, everything. I'm super grateful that they sent these over because I'm so excited to have more pieces to play with. Speaking of getting ready, I've also gotten more into perfume over the past year. I've always loved perfume, but I was really someone who had like one signature scent and wore it to death. I think recently I'm getting more comfortable expanding upon that. I got my boyfriend Jazz Club for Christmas, and I really love that smell. We had him spray it on Jungkook's cock. I also want a little bottle of Margielas by the fireplace because I want to have more stuff with a smoke note in it, incense note. I am also very much looking into Serge Lutens. Is it Lutens or Lutens? I've heard that it's not pronounced how you think it is. I'm just gonna say how I think it is. I don't care. Serge Lutens Eau de Feline. It has a smoke, incense, note. I've heard it's a very sad perfume, and that really calls me because I feel like a lot of people don't really think of smells being sad, and I love that. I also got Le Papier hair mist for my for Christmas from the boutique, and I love it. I think it's very much a versatile year-round scent. I can see it being a very comfy scent in spring, but I thought it was very cozy for winter because of the rice note. I think my favorite perfume I've gotten recently though was Cartier Baiser Volé. Baiser Volé. I'm not quite sure how you say it. I got a very tiny, like 10 milliliter bottle, and I'm very excited about it. And I want to get a bigger bottle when I have the money for it. I've been on the lookout for the perfect lily fragrance because I'm obsessed with lilies, and I just think they smell amazing. There's also another Serge fragrance that I want to get. What is it called? La Vierge de Fer. Is that the one that has the lily scent? I forgot. I'm just looking for the perfect lily scent because I want to smell like a living lily. And this perfume, Baiser Volé, has a lily top note. It's not as heavy of a lily scent as I wanted it to be. I think it's not as like heady and decadent as a lily. It actually has a pretty clean scent. I think the tonka beans really show through. It does have that sort of vanilla-y smell, but in a very nice way. Another thing that I can classify that I have been loving this winter is just keeping fresh flowers in my room all the time. Expensive desire, but thankfully I work at a flower shop, so I get workers discount. If I didn't though, I would probably get a couple fake flowers and like a couple fake flowers arrangements. Fake flower arrangements, oh my god. And rotate them with a few flowers thrown in there every once in a while. But it's just something, especially in winter, to have something fresh and beautiful and alive in your room. Thing in the miscellaneous category is scented hand cream. My hands get so dry in the winter. It is so gross. So I really like having a nice hand cream around, keep it in my bag at all times. And I think, like, I know that having fragrance in your like moisturizer is worse for your skin, but I think it's a nice little pick me up throughout the day. But it's also a fun way to sort of interact with perfumery because the hand creams are usually cheaper. Things to say, but honestly, I'm getting sleepy. So I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Shout out to Beautiful Earth Boutique for sending me the beautiful jewelry. I'm so glad to be able to wear it. Hope you're all doing okay in this end of winter. Hope you're not taking it too hard. If you are, spring is right around the corner. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.